Alright, what about this?
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back from the time skip and about to dive headfirst into Shippuden. Something I've noticed since starting this series is that, unlike any other series I've covered, fans seem divided, and that's putting it lightly. Since I finished the very first arc of this series, with every subsequent video, I keep getting comments saying something along the lines of, "It's all downhill from here," which, having now completed the first arc of Shippuden, I can't...
Look. I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say this every damn time I get the opportunity to. The Sasuke retrieval, that shit's just peak fiction. I don't blame them. It's kind of like they just it's kind of like the audience just nutted real hard. Like they just jerked off and they had the biggest nut ever. And that huge fucking nut was Sasuke retrieval arc. So, I'm not gonna lie, the start of Shippuden, yes, it is like some post-nut clarity shit, alright? You don't got, like, the whole gang going super omega hard as fuck like they were in the Sasuke retrieval. So it's not as ooga-booga entertaining. But there's still some cool story elements you can follow with Shippuden, so. But I don't blame it. I wouldn't say it's downhill. I'm just gonna say, like, yeah, it's not nearly as hype as Sasuke retrieval. I mean, that's like a climax of the series, or one of the climaxes.
And say I share that opinion. Yet, anyway. Some parts I might like more than others, but I haven't noticed a decline of anything noteworthy so far. The story seems to flow very well with a clear vision behind it of what needs or wants to be done.
The Akatsuki introduction and shit was all hype,
downhill from here, but it hasn't happened for me yet, and it certainly didn't happen with this arc. And today I'm sharing my blind first impressions of the Kazekage rescue mission, and spoiler alert, I loved it.
Yeah, Shippuden's still good. I don't know why people say it's so bad. Damn,
Before
Toby!
we dive into this week's material,
Yo,
I have
bully!
something to announce. Like many of you, I've
Yo!
been a fan of Spider-Man since I was 5 years
Spider-Man ad?
old. It was the movie that inspired me to start looking
at advertised by
art
Spider-Man?
form, and now having grown up, I happen to have a channel where I review stories I love for your entertainment. I had planned on taking December off this year, but instead, I had an idea. Spider-Man No Way Home hits theaters this December 17th, and so, I thought it might be fun if this December we go full Spider-themed. In a challenge I am dubbing Spidey-cember. I'm very proud of the name. Within which I will attempt to review and break down some of the most iconic and heavily criticized live-action Spider-Man films ever to be released.
Look, if you hype up Toby,
I'm talking Toby.
If you hype up Toby, I'll love you.
Holland. These reviews will be contained to 3 videos released on December 2nd, December 9th, and with the final review dropping December 16th. One day before the release of Spider-Man No Way Home.
Yo, what is that?
One of the most hotly anticipated
you
films in superhero
bat?
film history. I'll be kicking things off this Spidey-cember with the Raimi trilogy on December 2nd, which I hadn't seen since I was a kid in theaters. I can't wait to share my feelings on these films that changed my life, and I hope to see you all there for this Spidey-cember.
Rest in peace, the boy. Those scenes always make me sad. Poor Stan Lee.
The further I've delved into this series, the more I've found that it likes to utilize fights to tell its story. While I do like this approach, and I think it makes sense given the circumstances, I do think that overall it does feel a lot more one-note in its approach compared to earlier arcs, which had opportunities for training and exams to filter the themes and narrative context for different characters. However, with that said, I also think that the conversations that occur during these fights serve as a nice balance to that issue and lack of variety in certain settings.
So some people think, this is like a common opinion, that the Shippuden time skip should have been like a few months or only 1 year rather than 2.5 years. So if it was only a few months or a year, people think it would have made more sense considering like what we've seen already. I don't know how you guys feel. I think Kishimoto is trying to intentionally skip to when they're teenagers. For some reason, maybe the teenager aesthetic was something he was looking forward to for a while. But, yeah. That is an opinion a lot of people have.
This arc, which focuses on the reintroduction of all the main and secondary characters, primarily concerns itself with...
But yeah, obviously with the whole training thing, Naruto does a fuck ton of training, and it seems like he doesn't really improve all too much, although... I'd have to say that they would, because obviously you see Sakura get so good that she can fight fucking Sasori and Akatsuki member, you know. Sakura goes from being just literally sitting there doing fucking nothing for an entire arc to, helping the gang get through the Forest of Death, to tying with Ino, her like super clan ninja rival, to then, fighting fucking Sasori and shit. So Sakura has a lot of development going on. But I don't know, with Naruto it's a little bit less obvious. But you can say that Naruto obviously got a lot stronger because he's kind of relative to Sakura, so. But still, like, Naruto's growth is just less obvious than the other characters. Like, what was Naruto's... Like, the thing that Naruto learned was, pretty much... Like, he learned some basic combat shits, like all of the unexplainable cool ninja shit he does that we don't really understand. It's supposed to be his training. But really all Naruto kind of learned was just, like, now I have big Rasengan. So... He also learned how to use Kimi Chakra a little bit more, but that's because Jiraiya just kind of unlocked the seal. So that's why some people think for Naruto it could have just been a few months. But for characters like Sakura, the 2 years makes a lot more sense, I think. And obviously with Mark's statement earlier, we do see Naruto train a lot more throughout this. We see, the Rasen Shuriken training, the Sage Mode training, all that stuff. So he still trains. I think he trains more in Shippuden than he does in Part 1. Surprisingly. But Mark has not read all Shippuden, so I'll give him a break for that one. But
kidnapping of Gaara and the bringing full circle of his character arc. It's a powerful tale with themes of responsibility, regret, and loneliness. In terms of the new post-time skip designs, while many of the secondary characters have remained much the same, I do enjoy the reimagined designs of Naruto and Sakura. There's an obvious air of maturity to these respective looks, helped enormously by the addition of darker colors on Naruto, removing some of the fiery orange with a much more muted darker tone. The same goes for Sakura. I love that she's decided to keep her hair short, which speaks to her mindset greatly thanks to the fight she had with Ino during the Chunin exams. Furthermore, her outfit's similar.
But Sakura didn't have much development, am I right? Thinking back on this, didn't Kishimoto say he did this because it was just easier to draw? I'm not saying I disagree with Mark's like art approach or something, but didn't Kishimoto say he did this because it was just easier to draw? I'm pretty sure that's why he would have done it. That's why he didn't have Sasuke keep the Chunin exams outfit, and I imagine drawing this whole little setup is way harder than just doing this. So that's on it. High key, that's why Kishimoto probably did that, because he's a lazy fuck. But yeah.
Fiery orange with a much more muted, darker tone. The same goes for Sakura. I love that she's decided to keep her hair short, which speaks to her mindset greatly thanks to the...
Did Mark say that Sakura had no development in Part 1, or that... No, it was just... He just didn't really get it, I don't think. But yeah, I think her keeping this haircut is pretty good for Sakura as well.
Fight she had with Ino during the Chunin exams. Furthermore, her outfit, similar to her more mature persona, reflects a more practical action-based
I'm sure he's gonna really like the Sakura versus Sasori fight. I actually like that fight a lot.
Far more fitting, I think.
So
I'm particularly happy with this change in Sakura, which I will definitely touch more on later in this video. With
don't
her
say
outstanding
Zam.
fight. But as far as first impressions go, I'm honestly thrilled that Sakura has been training under Lady Tsunade, managing in her own way to find an identity in a critically important vertical, the likes of which Naruto and Sasuke aren't good at. It plays to the natural strengths she demonstrates as a character in the first part and builds upon them naturally, giving me a sense that she is, in fact, her own character.
Yes.
As a concept, I really love time skips in stories. They can't really be used all too often, and when used correctly, can offer a lot of anticipation and fun for the audience reading or watching. A great example of this is, once again, One Piece, where before the time skip, everyone had a clear motivation, a clear set goal to aim for in...
Okay, this is off topic, but you know what Sakura needed, bro? You know what Sakura needed? You know what Sakura needed, bro? She needed her big win. Where was her big win versus anyone? Because you have Sasuke take his big win down against Deidara. Then you have him struggle against Itachi. You have Naruto with this big win over fucking Pain, which he struggled with. He also helped take down, Kakazu and those characters. But where's Sakura's big win? Like, she helped versus Sasori, but she wasn't fucking, solo boxing him. You know what I mean? Like, where's Where's Sakura's just solo moment? You know what I mean? Because, you know, Sasuke and Naruto, they both had that solo moment. Even Kakashi has his solo moments. But where's Sakura's just, big fucking fight moment, you know? That's one thing I always missed about Sakura is like, I wish she had her big fucking moment against something.
The time they had to train.
But she never fucking
once they return
really
after
did
the
it.
time skip, we anticipate the reveal of how each person did during their time away. Dragon Ball, on the other hand, took a different approach by effectively ending on a high note at the end of the 23rd Tenkaichi Budokai. And when they picked back up in the Saiyan arc, they communicated the passage of time visually through either the action between Goku and Raditz.
Okay, I guess a good way to word it is... So, okay. Sasuke, Naruto, and Sakura, they all fight an Akatsuki member, right? Y'all agree? So Sasuke, Naruto, and Sakura, they all fight an Akatsuki member. Sakura fights Sasori, Sasuke fights Deidara, and Naruto fights Kakazu. Right? But then Naruto and Sasuke take it a step further, and they fight, like, their upper Akatsuki member. You know what I mean? Like, they fight their Itachi. They fight their Pain. So, I think one thing for Sakura is that she never had her second Akatsuki battle, if you know what I mean. Like, where's her second Akatsuki battle versus, like, a big Akatsuki name or something? She didn't have, like, her big, you know, foil character or her big fucking Akatsuki moment. So I don't know. I think that's one thing that she could have used too, is had her own thing about that. You could have done so much with that, man. You could have done so much with it. There could have been so many ways to have Sakura just like grow and be more interesting and all kinds of shit for that moment, but it's whatever.
Or through Goku now having a young
let's
son
see what Mark was saying. I got caught up. I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't even fucking paying attention to this shit.
As a concept, I really love time skips in stories. They can't really be used all too often, and when used correctly, can offer a lot of anticipation and...
No, actually, you guys are right. Conan might have actually been a good foil for Sakura. Conan might have been an okay foil, actually. Maybe Conan would have been good, because Conan kind of has, like, almost a similar role. So maybe Conan would have just been good, but I don't know. We'll see.
As a concept, I really love time skips in stories. They can't really be used all too often, and when used correctly, can offer a lot of anticipation and fun for the audience reading or watching. A great example of this is, once again, One Piece, where before the time skip, everyone had a clear motivation. A clear set goal to aim for in the time they had to train. And once they return after the time skip, we anticipate the reveal of how each person did during their time away. Dragon Ball, on the other hand, took a different approach by effectively ending on a high note at the end of the 23rd Tenkaichi Budokai. And when they picked back up in the Saiyan arc, they communicated the passage of time visually through either the action between Goku and Raditz, or through Goku now having a young son called Gohan. To be clear, I'm not saying either of those approaches to the time skip are unique, and I'm certainly not suggesting that Kishimoto looked to mirror his approach after any one of these. I mean, this arc of Naruto was written in 2006, well before the time skip of One Piece. I'm just using these as examples of how one might approach this narrative mechanic and make it work for them. Interestingly though, the Naruto series seems to have taken an approach similar to, but not exactly the same as either of them. Similar to One Piece in that Naruto's final arc before the time skip ends in a tragic manner, and spurred on from the results of that, our heroes now have a clear-cut goal to work towards. And, like Dragon Ball, we see the passage of time with certain characters more accurately through the revelation of their new circumstances. While we can see the developments and improvements of Naruto and Sakura with extreme clarity during their reintroduction training sessions with Kakashi, we also see the new position Gaara finds himself in now that the dust has settled. And as it happens, this arc concerns itself with his story greatly.
By the way, this is a little bit off topic again. Mark's not saying anything wrong or right or whatever. Doesn't matter. What do you guys think about Gaara being Kazekage? Do you think it was weird? Do you think it was kind of like, man, didn't Naruto want to be like a Kage? That's his whole dream, and then Gaara just kind of fucking did it? Or is it like, oh yeah, it makes sense. Gaara's probably the strongest dude there. Like, what do y'all think? I don't know. They could have introduced, and I mean, like, there could have been anyone introduced in the village that just wasn't a part of Konoha Crush or something. That could have been Kage, you know what I mean? But if it was someone else, but apparently that couldn't have happened because did you guys know that Baki, the fucking towel-headed dude who fucking was in the Konoha Crush that fucking stalemated Genbu was the strongest Jonin of the Sand Village. So maybe they didn't have any other options.
Finally,
yeah, he was.
After all this time, the Akatsuki are making their presence felt. And in this arc, they are...
What the fuck did he just... What did he just say? The who? Wait a minute.
Finally, after all this time, the Akatsuki...
I need to go take a piss. Don't worry, guys. I'm the guy who can't say nuclear. Nuclear. So don't worry. I get it, bro. But wow. That was that's a new type of I've never heard anyone pronounce it that way ever. I don't think I've ever heard anyone say it that way.
Are making their presence felt, and in this arc they are
I'm gonna have
pretty
to get
damn
used
awesome.
to that.
Itachi
Oh wait! I forgot my Red Bull. Fuck. Okay, can you guys hear me? Did I mute the stream? I'd say in the future when you go to make these types of videos, because I was a manga only for a lot of things too. So as an example, I was a manga only for Hunter x Hunter, and when I was making the Phantom Troop versus Meruem video, there's some crazy things you have to learn how to say. Like, for instance, I'll type it in the chat. How do you say this? How do you say this shit right here? Like, how do you say that word? And so when I was doing my Hunter x Hunter video, I would look up how to say certain words and names with the anime. So I'd search up the scene of them in the anime. So the way you say that word is Guanyin Bodhisattva, which is, like a Buddhist thing. But, and like when I was making my fucking Avatar video, oh my god. Let me, here's another word. Y'all, I want to see, if y'all could say this fucking word. Let me see. I got a fun word for y'all. Let me see if you guys can say this word. This is a word I had to learn how to say in the Avatar video. So the way you say that word is Uvalokiteshwara. Uvalokiteshwara. So, when I'm doing these types of videos, even though I'm a manga only, or there's some things that are only written, like some like Hindu words like Uvalokiteshvara or, Bodhisattva, stuff like that. A good way to do it is if you're not sure how it's actually stated, just look up like a YouTube video of someone like from the community. Like you could just like look up a swag video like Akatsuki explained, and then have him fucking say the word Akatsuki and or the names that you don't fully understand. So even if you're a manga only or you're only reading the words, you can kind of see how most people say it, so it's not as embarrassing. Like I said, once again, though, I'm the guy who says nuclear, not nuclear. So, I used to say brawly, not judging too much, but that's just some basic advice for videos. If you want to learn how to say big names that you might not know at first, always try to look it up first before making the video.
Typically, I found to be massively
because if you don't do that, then it's always just going to be like, wow, I really, like, I'm vibing with what he's saying, but for some reason I just can't like this video because he keeps saying a cat sky, like, I just cannot listen to what he's actually saying because he keeps saying a cat sky or some shit, so, it just kind of detracts from the video, even if it's a mistake, just advice from one YouTuber to another.
Right. Entertaining in that regard. Creepy as it was, but I'll touch on that a little later. As it happens, these Akatsuki folks are after individuals known
oh man. I gotta get used to it.
As Jinchuriki. These are individuals known as Jinchuriki. These are humans like Gaara and Naruto that within them possess the spirit of one of the nine-tailed beast spirit things. And speaking of which, one of this arc's strongest reintroductions comes by way of Gaara to the story. We catch up with him in the sand village he was raised in as the new Kazekage. The differences don't stop there, however, and we see just how much he's changed when a character from the Akatsuki arrives and starts to slaughter the people of his village. There are flashbacks detailing in explicit terms how Gaara's mindset has changed over the last number of years.
Y'all hear that song coming?
Himself to his people. He wants to build a connection with his village, gain their respect, and to become something precious to them. He wants to be a person people can look up to, someone who can lead and look after his community. It's a beautiful 180 he's taken since we last saw him during the Chunin exams, with my favorite demonstrations of his character coming in the form of his defense of his own village, using all of his chakra in a massive effort shielding his people from the oncoming attacks from Deidara. And I don't know what it is, but every single time Gaara was so raw in this fight, it's always a spectacle. Something
okay. Was there anyone? Okay, do y'all remember that phase of Naruto where y'all didn't watch the actual show, but you've seen like clips of it or like AMVs or something? Has anyone had that phase where they haven't actually seen the show, but they just saw clips or AMVs or something? Dude, I didn't actually watch Naruto, but I've seen like power level videos and like AMVs and shit. I thought Deidara was like a girl, bro. I thought Deidara was a girl. I thought Deidara was a girl for the longest time.
The oncoming attacks from Deidara. And I don't know what it is, but every single time Gaara tangles with anyone, it's always a spectacle. Something amazing to look at visually while offering up some juicy narrative growth in the process. The fight that takes place, while not being much to look at in the anime, in the manga the page spreads are truly breathtaking. The scale is evident and only further serves to reinforce the extreme effort Gaara is willing to push himself towards in the name of
Gaara also has like Bijou
Despite
hand
the
sand
fight
things
ending
now.
in defeat for the young Kazekage, it's clear that Gaara is on the path to winning the war in his mind. Helped obviously by the young Uzumaki Naruto's actions and philosophy. However, now kidnapped and in transit to the stronghold of the Akatsuki for purposes we have yet to fully understand, the word reaches Naruto and his allies. Something needs to be done, and this, my friends, is where our story really kicks off.
So, I think one thing that I liked being touched up on for that part in particular, Mark didn't touch up on it, but it's whatever, is that Gaara lost because he was protecting the village. Like, Gaara low-key might have been able to win if he didn't give a fuck. You know what I mean? Like, imagine if Gaara did not actually care about the village like he used to. He would have won. Isn't that weird to think about? So maybe, like, Sasuke was right and Naruto was wrong? Like, does Gaara losing justify Sasuke's, like, philosophy? Was Sasuke actually right? Damn, dude. Is that epic foreshadowing? I don't know.
But before I jump into Naruto and the gangs,
It kind of foreshadows why Sasuke is gonna fucking rape stomp all of Team 7 now.
effort to catch up with and save Gaara, I have one small nitpick that I just have to get out in the open. There have been very few things in Naruto the series that have bothered me, and honestly, fewer than is standard for a story I review.
Look at these faces, bro.
Series that have bothered me, and honestly,
Look at these faces, yo. I might have to fire this animator, bruh. I bet this animator's gonna be my DM like, Seth, why are you saying you own me?
fewer than is standard for a story I
Drawing
review
shit
on a
like
long-term
that.
basis. However, now I think is the time to talk about a particularly
Cut this
bad piece of writing
fucking
that's
Fortnite
all
art.
over this manga. It's minor, but it would be disingenuous for me not to mention it amongst all the praise I've given this series. My pet peeve with this series is when a character says, and I quote, "that jutsu." You know when in movies characters that are best friends tell us that they're best
Yeah.
friends, like, "Hey man, we've
I don't
been
like
friends
that
since
either.
we were kids," etc., etc.
But it
People
adds
don't really
mystique.
speak to each other like that in the real world, and it just sucks me out of the experience when I hear it or see it in writing. And in a sense, that's what that jutsu does for me when a character says it to another. You can't be talking about that jutsu. I mean, like, they may as well be winking at the camera. Now, with that said, I totally understand the
I mean, it's okay. I mean, that jutsu's okay. Okay, the reason I could see it somewhat justified that ninja do that because so that ninja, when they say just that jutsu, it doesn't, spoil or tell other ninja what they could be possibly planning or have. It's just like vaguely that jutsu, which is like far more intimidating and hard to read. All it says to other ninja that might be listening is, oh, this person has a crazy new jutsu that we don't know about. But if you were to say it out loud what it is, it might tell lurking ninja or nearby ninja what you have, so they can prepare for it, maybe. That's like a way I could see it. But yeah, I think it is kind of a cheesy like story device, but I could see it kind of working for Naruto in that sense a little bit.
utility of such a sentence. Kishimoto wants to tell us that whomever's speaking has an ace up their sleeve, but he doesn't want to tell us what that is. I get it, it's a builder of anticipation, in a sense, but there has to be a better way than this. And to be honest, it wouldn't have bothered me if it had only been once or twice in the series, but it happens countless times. Alright, so back to the story. Once word reaches Naruto back at the village, Lady Tsunade sends himself, Sakura, and Kakashi to check it out. Their mission is to suss out the situation in the Sand Village and report back immediately before there's any trouble. One thing I will say...
So, why do people in Naruto jump tree from tree? Like, why do they jump from the trees like that? Like, why don't... Is it so they're, like, more hidden? Like, why can't they just jump on the ground? Like, would the ground be easier to travel upon than the treetops? I don't know. Because they're not hidden either. They're, like, out in the open. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I don't know why they do it. I could get if they're, like, traveling through the leaves and shit, but they don't. So why do they do it? And Naruto's wearing bright orange, too. So
himself,
maybe it's just cool
Sakura
looking.
And Kakashi to check it out. Their mission is to suss out the situation
like they're
in the Sand
flying
Village
there.
and report back immediately before there's any trouble. One thing I will say though is that once they do arrive, Sakura demonstrates how impressive she is with her abilities to heal the wounded and cure poison. There's now such a pronounced contrast with her, particularly when you compare her with the comparatively much less competent child she was when the series began. And this isn't by any means all she's improved since these days, but we'll get to that soon. Furthermore, before we go into the final act of the story, I do want to say that I really enjoyed the wildcards that were injected into the mix right before the second half of this arc. Out of nowhere, Guy's team with everyone's favorite little splendid ninja Rock Lee is roped into this mission.
go.
Kakashi and his team decide to try and retrieve Gaara from those that stole him away, and it's something Naruto is very passionate about pursuing, and in that pursuit, trouble finds them. Itachi is fucking terrifying.
Itachi.
But you know what isn't terrifying? Audible, the sponsor of this video.
Ooh.
I love analyzing these wonderful stories, and if you've been watching for a while, you know I adore my books on narrative theory. K.M. Wallen's book on character arcs is one of my all-time favorites.
What if there were a surefire secret to creating stunning character arcs? Would you be interested in discovering it?
Well,
I might buy that book just to jerk off. Like, what is that? God damn. Like,
I was, and you can
what
do
is that
too,
voice?
thanks to Audible. Your membership gives you access to many
Holy
thousands
shit.
of audiobooks, podcasts, and even guides for fitness, which honestly
I'll
is
show
great
you
for
a
me,
character
seeing as I'm
arc.
trying to run a marathon next year. As an Audible member, you get 1 credit each month that you can spend on any of the premium titles. That's all the latest
Audible's
new
pretty
releases.
fire, though. I've read a
Download
few
one of
books
those
on
a
it.
month, and you get to keep it forever. You also get access to the new Plus catalog, which hosts awesome things like ad-free podcasts, thousands upon thousands of older audiobooks, and Audible's great original programs. So why not treat yourself this holiday? Whether you're sitting cozily around the fireplace,
Damn, I wish I had a fucking... Look at that Christmas setup there.
original programs. So why not treat yourself this holiday? Whether
Y'all wish you had this setup. What? This is the most cozy little fucking Christmas setup ever, bruh.
you're sitting cozily
damn.
around the fireplace or driving around to see
got the
family,
pine cones and
Audible's
shit,
a wonderful
too.
partner for this time of year. For a limited time,
He
you
probably
can
doesn't
join
make
for
that much
only
money, to be fair.
$7.95 a month. That's saving you a whopping 46%.
Clyde and I
on
do
your first
some,
4
like,
months
crazy
of
silver
Audible.
tongue
Go
haggling
to
with these sponsors. I don't know if other people do that shit.
audible.com/notmark, link down in the description, or text notmark to 500-500. That's audible.com/notmark.
I know a lot of
And
YouTubers
hey,
don't.
new members get 30 days.
They don't really
entirely
demand what
for
they're
free.
worth a lot of the time. They just like, oh, that's a cool sponsor deal. I'll take it. Oh, fuck yeah, dude. Yo, Naruto Beyblade? Yo, Naruto had Beyblades?
Con los nuevos spinners Naruto de Sabritas, haz las mejores combinaciones. Juega
Yo!
con tus amigos.
I think what I like
Only in
most about this
Spanish?
section, which doesn't just depict Itachi's fight with Kakashi's group, but also Gai's team with Itachi's ally Kisame, isn't simply just how imposing the enemies are presented, but how capable the leaders of each group are, Kakashi and Gai. There's some great lines of dialogue from Kakashi here that really help to relax me into the situation, revealing Itachi's strategy, his weaknesses with his eyesight, and threatening him by saying that he, Kakashi, doesn't make the same mistakes twice. Almost putting himself on the same level as Itachi and reminding us all, too, that he was a prodigy when he was growing up. And really, I think despite the two fights happening side by side with different people, Gai and Kakashi, they share a ton in common, with both leaders' groups suffering compromises to their abilities, leaving much of the heavy lifting to Gai and Kakashi respectively. Gai ends up implementing a technique very similar to that which Lee used against Gaara, and in the manga the scenes feel truly massive.
I
The
think
scope
similar
of the
technique is
battle
fine.
feels enormous, which interestingly is the exact opposite of Kakashi's fight with Itachi, and this is by design. It felt painfully intimate. Everything from Itachi's first appearance to his constant state of always feeling comfortable in every situation. I mean, this is why Kakashi in this instance added so much to the scene. With Itachi popping up out of the shadows, the reassurance Kakashi gave me as a reader felt much needed. But good God, did I not anticipate what he would put Naruto through. Acting as some sort of sadistic spirit of Christmas past, confronting him with manifestations of his deepest insecurities, regrets, and fears. It's a masterful touch, further separating Itachi as a villain or foe unlike any we've seen before in this story. Climaxing in a sequence where Kakashi holds Itachi off long enough for Sakura to bring Naruto back to reality,
Naruto's
where he lands a
slightly larger
devastatingly
Rasengan.
impressive attack in his feral spirit state, and it's the combination of this in tandem with his shadow clone technique that made this hype
Yo,
as
go,
all hell.
slightly larger
And
Rasengan.
that's when Itachi and Kasame
I've
reveal
trained
that
2
these were
years for
fakes the
this
entire
technique.
time, and that their real selves aren't anywhere close by, appearing before them like this simply because they wish to stall them. Frustrating as it was for sure, it was also a brilliant scene and one that really freaked me out while I was reading it. Alright, so the situation is Big Door has a lock, Gaara is on the other side being killed, and because of that door and the seal that's on it, they have to split up into a bunch of different fights. Some are great, and others we straight up just do not see. So let's kick things off with one of the battles that we do see, the battle inside the cave, featuring Granny Chiyo and Sakura versus Sasori. Sakura's fight with Lady Chiyo against Sasori was actually way better than I was anticipating.
Yeah, that fight's
Sakura,
fucking
while
raw.
showing promise in a multitude of areas, always felt significantly less interesting due in part to her being used predominantly for comedy and, well, to swoon over Sasuke. Which again,
Normalcy.
that's totally normal for a young girl in a story to do, but when all of the other characters have deeply philosophical and moral dilemmas at the core of their respective characters that they themselves deal with in every fight, it really felt like when different battles took place, Sakura was left out to dry. But in this arc, Kishimoto seems to have given her something much more to work with, or at the very least built something significant off of the strong foundations laid during certain sections of prior arcs. Characters like Kakashi, Rock Lee, Gaara, Hinata, Neji, Naruto, and even Sasuke all derive their issues from their upbringings. However, compared to these characters, Sakura's upbringing was comparatively painless and, well, normal. I mean, in the first arc, when she was introducing and presenting herself in the first arc, she defined herself by what at the time was most important to her, Sasuke. But fast forward to right now, after the time skip, she can now derive ambition and motivation not from her childhood, but from the events that took place over the course of the series' first half, stuff that we, the readers, can relate to. She's now full of regret after she failed to keep Sasuke from fleeing the village in the first place, disappointed that she was too weak to help bring him home, and now years later she's trained to become significantly stronger, studying under Lady Tsunade to gain jutsu to specifically protect and heal her friends. And in this scene she fights tooth and nail against Sasori just so that she can live up to her own ideals one moment longer. I've been critical in the past to her, but I also give credit where it's due. And that right there, that's a tremendous improvement on all
Yeah, she got to
fronts.
fight one of the coolest
At numerous
Akatsuki
points
members.
in this fight, Sakura is told to stand down, to let
I
the
think
old lady
Sasori's way
handle
cooler
this
than
fight.
Deidara, so-
And time again,
Sakura
she
ate
picks
here,
herself
for
off
sure.
the ground and shows everyone, including us, the readers, that she isn't the same scared little girl she
Thank
once
you,
was.
Shabagoo.
And really, while she started this story as this girl I was sort of only lukewarm on, this fight alongside Granny Chiyo acts as, at least for me, her coronation as a fully realized character with a wonderful resolve clearly on display. Struggling with her own internal psychological questions, unique to her, by the way.
Okay, so one thing I don't get about Sakura is, remember when she was being hyped up as a genjutsu type? Remember that? She was gonna be like a genjutsu type? I'm surprised she didn't learn some like crazy genjutsu or something too, like anything. Imagine she had like some AoE crazy genjutsu and super strength and healing, and she was like Tsunade, but she could use genjutsu and stuff like that. I don't know. Oh, you're raw.
And a master that sees something inside her student that no one else seems to see. Where Sasuke has his clan's genetics
No,
or heritage,
Kurenai is
and
not- would be
Naruto
nothing
has the
like her.
fox spirit, it's easy to forget that Sakura
It'd be like
doesn't
Tsunade and
have
Kurenai
these
put
same
together,
advantages.
or something.
And for her to become as exceptional as she is right here is a feat worth standing back and showing praise for. Couple this with the fact that her opponent Sasori and her partner Chiyo, and you have for yourself a narrative cocktail primed for some effective emotional imagery and a challenge large enough to allow Sakura to amaze us all with her new abilities. As Chiyo is faced with aggression against her own lost grandson, having totally lost his way by the way, starved of the love that he cherished and so needed, uses his powers of puppetry to wield the parents he lost as a child. It's unsettling and it's tragic, particularly when you take into account the fashion with which Chiyo and Sakura see to his demise using the puppets of his parents, assuming the same positions around him as they symbolically welcome him to the afterlife, stabbing him collectively in the same pose they were seen hugging him once before. This event also concerned itself with Chiyo considerably. I found her character quite abrasive and, well, unlikable when we were introduced to her, but she too has
Chiyo throwing hands is still so fucking funny, dude.
and also concerned itself with Chiyo considerably. I
She
found her
straight
character
up
quite
kicks
abrasive
one
and,
Naruto in the
unlikable
head,
when
bro,
we were
and
introduced to
pops
her,
it.
but
That's just
she
raw.
too has undergone a considerable
dumbass
change.
grandma.
One that is linked in many ways to Gaara and his standing in his community. And speaking
Why
of
was
Gaara,
Chiyo so
time to
raw?
finally check in with the character
She was
leading
so
the charge for
strong.
his
She was like
rescue.
she was like a
Naruto.
Katsuki level for
The
no
more this
reason.
series explores Naruto as a character, the more interesting he becomes.
Just dumbass.
to me.
See, that's what I mean when y'all are like, who else could have been the Kazekage of the sand? Bruh, Chio was just some random ass grandma that was like Sasori level, just chilling in the fucking one of the mud huts. You know what I mean? Like, they could have just introduced any random ass ninja to be Kazekage. That's what I mean.
Since the beginning of this series, we haven't really had much chance to see Kakashi show Naruto much attention, but that changes in this arc, and with that change, something came into focus for me. A theme I don't often see explored in as much depth and honest a fashion is that of responsibility within shonen stories. Now, I know what you're going to say. That's sort of the crux of like 90% of various characters. And to that I say, I appreciate and understand that, but within those stories, oftentimes, if the outcome of a rash decision made by a character results in confrontation or aggression, normally stories will lean more in the camp of determination and tenacity to save the day for that character, which sort of flies in the face of the theme of responsibility, I think, in a sense. Naruto desperately wants to save Sasuke. He desperately wants to save Gaara. It's as clear as day on his face. His frustration and anger is bubbling to the surface as he brandishes his fox spirit's powers more and more. He promised Sakura, he promised everyone, and he promised himself that he would bring back Gaara home. And
I think Mark's really gonna like the Naruto Depression Arc.
Yet, at numerous points in this arc, he loses his temper and finds himself either compromising his team's effort or their well-being, forcing us to contend with the notion that if Naruto truly would do anything to bring them back, then he would also deny himself this indulgence into violence and revenge that he so clearly desperately is pushing for, all in the name of creating the best possible chance to save Gaara in this instance. Perhaps more times in this arc than we have seen in any arc prior, Naruto has assumed his feral state, eyes and claws poised for an animalistic attack to try and force his way to Gaara, perhaps with his failings in helping Sasuke echoing in his mind also. But the point is that his intentions are good, but he must know that that's not the best way, and yet he indulges in it regardless. This is why I love Kakashi, because in this chase he grounds the young ninja, reaffirming to him that they are indeed on the same team and that if he wants Gaara back, they just need to be smart about how they approach this altercation with Deidara. And you know, what's interesting about this particular mechanic with Naruto is that as it happens, the more he loses himself to the spirit, the more this behavior invokes its power, and the more of a risk he runs in not only never achieving his goal, but he might lose himself completely also. Thanks to his friendships with the likes of Jiraiya and Kakashi, he's managed to avoid this, but I just find it interesting that this power which he draws from, if
that little seal can, like, fucking knock out Naruto with, like, his KCM2 cloak or whatever the fuck, could those things knock out, like, Akatsuki members? Like, if Kakashi was to slap one of those on, like, Kakuzu's head, just, like, slapped it on, or slapped it on Deidara's head, or fucking a Path of Pain's head, he's like, smack, he just slapped it on one of their heads, would it just knock them out? Like, what the fuck is that piece of paper made of, bro?
Drawn from too much will run counter to what his ultimate goals are, and nothing drives that home more than this. There's a simple but fantastic series of panels in this manga where Gaara finds himself all alone.
Yeah, because fucking Gaara and Naruto have so much in common. Like, Gaara was supposed to be like a foil for a little bit, but Naruto and Gaara are literally like the same a lot. You know, the same Jinchuriki upbringing and all that. So of course,
fading away with no one to help him. And simply Naruto, someone who's found himself in that same situation, thinks of the times when he was at his loneliness. Eventually, he slowly but surely built a community around him that cared about him. It's been described in the story, and particularly in this arc, that Naruto's power is to build connections with everyone he speaks with, and this is reflected in these panels. As time went on, he was able to build around him a wonderful community of friends and loved ones, but Gaara didn't have those same advantages. And when Chio starts to make murmurings along the lines of "this is how it is for Kazekage," Naruto snaps. No one understands Gaara like Naruto does, and even Naruto can't imagine what his circumstances must have been like. Interestingly, there's something of a contradiction at play here where much of the drama seems to be stemming from,
Gaara's
in a very natural and great way, mind you, in how Naruto feels in relation to Gaara
versus
that old
how the
rest of the world seems to treat ninjas, and certainly Jinchuriki. They are disposable, and yet in this outburst, with the death of Gaara, despite wanting to be Hokage, one of the highest positions in this structure, he seems beside himself, totally and utterly distraught at the notion that no one ever considered how he might have felt, how Gaara might have felt, how his life might have gone different had he not been forced to connect with this spirit in the first place. In other words, Naruto's here to shake things up. He wants to become Hokage, and maybe he'll change this crazy world along the way. This show of emotion and frankly common sense resonates with...
Where is this Naruto fire in fucking Boruto, bro? Where's this fucking... I want this Naruto fire back. Where's this Naruto fire? Like, he's always... and throughout the whole original series, he's like crying. He's just super emotional. He's in it, bro. But in Boruto, he just seems so like out of it almost. Like he's like, it's like I guess he's a totally different person, but it's like he's almost like more like just unempathetic in Boruto. It's kind of weird.
The old timer, and in a last-ditch effort to do what she believes is the right thing to do, she sacrifices herself to bring Gaara back from the brink, and the depiction of which is beautiful. Surrounded by those he longed for connection with,
yeah, look
Gaara
at this
now
shit,
has a
man.
family who loves
God.
him. Man, okay, look, it's a great story. Shippuden is off to a great start, and hopefully the next stop will be Itachi or Sasuke.
Yeah, why were people saying that Shippuden's beginning was bad? Why? Like, why were they saying it was bad? Like, I'm trying to compare it, like... I'm trying to compare it to all the arcs so far. And, like... It might be the weakest arc so far. This part. But I wouldn't say it's, like, that bad. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. I'm trying to think about all the arcs in my head. It goes Land of Waves, Chunin Exams, Konoha Crush, Search for Tsunade. I mean, this arc might be almost near. Then Sasuke Retrieval. Like, all of those arcs are just masterpieces. And then this arc is still really good. I don't know. It might be the worst one, maybe. You might be able to debate it versus one of the other ones, but I wouldn't say it's like a massive downgrade or something. You get like Sakura versus Sasori, so you get to see Sakura go in. You get to see Kakashi versus Itachi, Guy versus Kisame, and then you get to see like this ending scene, which is really cute. So I guess it's like the worst one, but really it's not that crazy
Sasuke
bad
or something along those lines. But for now, thanks for stopping by and checking out this review. I'll be covering the next arc next week, and after that we have Spidey-cember. If you don't want to miss any of these reviews, I encourage you to subscribe for more. I've recently realized that less than half of you who watch my channel are subscribed, so what's up with that? Just hit the button.
Yeah, what is up with that? Subscribe to me too, please. Thank you. Anyway, that is the Mark review. That whole part of the story, there's not really a lot to say. For that whole beginning part of Shippuden. I kind of wish he talked more about how the story was, you know, giving Sakura a lot of credit. I mean, he kind of did, but it's whatever. Other than that, though, I mean, it is fine. The review is whatever. I think he needs to... Like I said, the main problem I had was just pronunciation. Like, and it wasn't even like his pronunciation wasn't even just like, oh, it's like a little bad. It was just like really bad. Like, you know, I don't expect people to say Otsutsuki or Otsutsutsuki, you know? He was saying like Osusukai. You know, that'd be like the example. You know, it's not like it's, you know, you have people say Otsutsuki or Otsutsutsuki. He was saying Otsusukai. You know what I'm saying? It's like that type of mispronunciation. It's like, you know, so I think he needs to just like watch a video or two on like, or like, you know, to see how other people pronounce words before he makes the video. Cause he doesn't even mispronounce it. It's like blatantly just kind of completely off, I think. So I don't know. Yeah. Pronunciation. Pronunciation. Like, because the thing is, especially about that review there, he said all of the right things, but his just pronunciation was not good. I would say he wasn't looking as tired today. He still looked a little bit tired, but not as sleepy as the last video. His last video he looked a lot sleepier. So I think he's working on the sleep. So that's good. He's looking more well-rested this video. So that's always a benefit. Other than that, there's not much else to say. We'll have to see what happens the next one. I think what's the next arc? The next arc is the Akatsuki invasion. Or the Akatsuki. The Akatsuki. The Akatsuki invasion is the next arc. And nothing really... Does anything really happen that arc? The bridge, Kakazu, Deidara, or Deidora. Do you think he's going to say Kakazu wrong? Kakuzu. Maybe he's going to say Kakuzu. So Kakuzu, Deidora, and the bridge. There's not going to be much else to say on the next episode either. So we're going to have to kind of wait until, like, the pain arc before we get to good shit again. But we'll watch the next one, too. But, yeah. That's really all there is to say. Yeah, he just says Cockzoo. Cockzoo. This time on the Cockzoo... Alrighty, let me turn something on real quick.
Ladies and
gentlemen. Alright. One second. Let's see. We will listen to chill music. There we go. Okay. That was kind of boring. I know the YouTube comments are going to be like, oh my god, Seth, what's with your aggressive attacks on Mark? Why are you attacking Mark again? Grr. God damn it. Yeah, we're being so mean to him. I was really bullying him. Y'all hear how bad I bullied Mark? Urgh, he should not want to live after that one. I whipped out my inner demon on Mark there. He's not gonna be able... You know why he looks so tired? Because he can't sleep after I'm done with him. He can't sleep after what I say. Yeah. How dare you say he looks tired? Bro, they were so mad that I said he looked tired, bro. They were like popping off that I said he looked tired. They're crazy, bro. Seth's only saying that because he's a pussy. That doesn't show what he looks like. Well, actually, Seth has shown what he looks like because of his god complex. What the fuck is wrong with him? Akatsuki. Akatsuki. When I do the Mark reviews, I'm probably just gonna put them all into one video. It'll be like a 10-hour video. I'm just gonna make a 10-hour... Seth reviews Mark's fucking Naruto review or some shit. This will be a 10-hour compilation of all of them put together. Fucking hell. I have a plug channel that kind of does it all for me though. So, dude, I wasn't even bullying him. Dude, someone was under one of Mark's tweets and they're like, Seth is exposing you. I'm like, what? How are we exposing him? We're exposing Mark? What the fuck is going on? I was going full Spopovich on Mark during that review. No mercy, what can I say?